Hi, guys. Good morning and good day to wherever all of you may be. I'm Dev Tyagi, your co-host of the Correct Point podcast. I'm joined today by my usual suspects, the very enterprising, the very charming Pranay Rangra.
Hi
And
guys.
we have a very special guest on our Correct Points brand new episode. The episode is going to be about South Africa. We are going to talk about the Proteas' chances at lifting this World Cup. And the moment I said the word lift, I could see Pranay was levitating, but he's going to hide his excitement. So, without wasting any further time and understanding that this is the murderous Monday, M for murder, M for Monday, M for mega deadlines, let me just bounce off the first question to my guest. His name is Ashish Singh. He is the content creator and the main brain behind the nuclearminds.com. Before he will explain about his website, my first question to you, Ashish, is who, by the way, looks a lot like Virat Kohli. Ashish, how impressed and thrilled are you with South Africa's campaign, the way they have been playing?
Hi Dev, thank you so much first for inviting me on your podcast and introducing me and with my website especially. So I directly come on point. I mean, if you see the performance of South Africa, they are just scoring tons of runs and their average innings first innings score while batting first is around 380. And on the other hand, if you see while chasing, they are struggling and they're struggling hard even against the Netherlands, they were not able to, chase down the, defending. Total. And then against Pakistan as well, they struggled to, chase down 270 or target. While on the other hand, they are, smashing all the park 350 plus runs in every first innings. So their major, challenge would be to how they cope up with the, while chasing, right? That's the challenge they are facing. And I would say their captain, Bavuma needs to, score more. If you see Quinton de Kock is the highest run scorer in their team with 431, and even their Aiden Markram, Klaassen, and in the lower order, Macro Janssen is also scoring too much of runs at the back end of the innings. So captain needs to take a step high, and he needs to score more
Lead
runs.
by.
I mean,
Hi Ashish.
that's what my
Ashish, do you think Temba Bavuma honestly justifies selection considering Riza Hendricks came into the squad and he scored a 80 odd against England, and then he scored about 10-15 against Bangladesh, but you can't really judge someone with only two performances. So do you think Temba Bavuma should be in the squad altogether?
No, absolutely. I was about to say this thing that I mean, Aiden Markram was handling the captaincy brilliantly, and if you're saying that combination is fine, and you can see that in the first few innings, Timba Buma struggled, scoring runs in the first innings as well, while all the other batters are scoring tons one innings by another. So I would say he needs to give chance to the batter who are actually performing. If you see other captains like Rohit Sharma, he's scoring tons of runs, and other captains as well. They are, if you see the Australian captain uh, Cummins,
Pat Cummins.
you know, he's batting, he's scoring runs as well. He's taking wickets as well, and in the field as well, he's giving his everything. So I mean, yeah, you can see. I mean, Temba Bavuma is not, giving what actually is expected to do. So yeah, in the upcoming matches, they can give rest to the Bavuma and give Hendricks a chance.
Right. Ashish, just a quick question. I hope you're covering content about South Africa on the Nuclear Mind as well, because I know that you're a die-hard admirer and supporter of Virat Kohli and Indian team, as you should be. But I hope you're doing your earnest bit about South Africa as well.
Yeah, little bit of actually, I'm not covering all the matches. So if I find any match interesting, like Pakistan versus South Africa, that match was, I mean, nail biting contest that was, and Keshav Maharaj scored the most precious runs for South Africa. It was just a merged 7 runs of just 21 balls, but it was innings of full patience and determination. So I would say all the South African batters need to bat like Keshav Maharaj in the second innings while chasing. So that's my point. After seeing all those 6 matches of South Africa, and if you see other teams like India, New Zealand, and Australia, they will, they will give them tough competition in the second innings. If you see yesterday's match against England, I mean, India made impossible to chase down, just a mere total of 230 runs. So if South Africa face India in the semi-final, and in case they get the chance to chase down a total of around 250 to 80, India would easily win, or any other team would easily win.
That's a big bold prediction. Interesting. Pranay, do you have any more questions before we let our guest get on his way, or should I ask one final question?
Just one question, Dave. Ashish, what do you think? What happens to South Africa when they're chasing versus batting first? I mean, batting first, they surmount like 350 odd all the time, and while chasing, they just surrender to meek totals.
I
So,
think it's just the pressure they are taking while chasing, because while betting first they don't have any total in mind, so they are betting freely, and while chasing they have some numbers in their mind, and they are like, and I mean, in the every tournament they have choked, and the match against Netherlands, it was the same story that we have seen South Africa struggling in semi-finals and the finals of the ICC tournament. So the match against the Netherlands, if you see the Pakistan as well, they were lucky enough to win the match just by 1 wicket. Otherwise, they would have lost that match as well. So I mean, that's the mind game only. While otherwise, they have all the talent. They have good batters, good all rounders, good bowlers like Rabada, Shamsi, and other bowlers as well. So it's just the mind game only, nothing more than that.
Right. All right. Yeah, awesome, brilliant. I'm going to let you go with this one last question before Pranay and I take over. Over these years, we've lost a number of times that we've heard South Africa being called chokers. It's not that India or teams like New Zealand have gone on to win the World Cup on multiple number of times, or for the fact the once mighty West Indies have won World Cups on planets which are not called Earth. So do you think that the title of chokers is somewhere a bit unjust and a bit too rude for a team like South Africa?
Yes, they got the tag in the match against Australia, where they lost just by I mean just mere 1 point only. So yeah, I mean, it won't be justified to say chokers to South Africa only. If you see the India's performance as well in the last after 2011 World Cup final, they have choked as well, like South Africa. So yeah,
बुलाता नहीं है.
क्या कोई बुलाता नहीं है. It's right.
I mean, for
Absolutely.
the way we were hammered by the West Indies, let's not call it hammered, beaten by West Indies in the Caribbean, we deserve to be called the jokers, right? But nobody called us the
Yeah,
joker. Who are
in
we
the
to call?
2000, absolutely, in the 2007 World Cup, I remember Bangladesh knocked out India out of the World Cup in West Indies, and in the 2000,
under the captaincy of a man rather familiar, who's the coach of the current cricket team.
Correct. And it was, I mean, hard to digest. I mean, they just lost against Bangladesh, so it was, it was just humiliating loss for us, and people can say new chokers in the cricket. So yeah, it won't be wrong to say we are the new chokers. But let's see the way we are performing in this World Cup. We can remove that tag by performing in the knockout matches.
Yeah.
I think,
We
guys,
might just
the Indian fanboys will always call India as a classy team, and chokers and the likes of such kind of monikers will never come India's way. Actually, we are just South Africa is very happy holding that tag, and believe you me, we will get rid of it in this World Cup.
Yeah, let's see how it goes. But I mean, 4 semi-finals are over already. I guess already have been finalized as per the performance of the 6 matches of the top 4 teams. But I don't think any other team would be able to come in the top spot in the ICC 23 points table. But yeah, let's see how which team gonna fight against each other in the semi-final, and let's hope for the interesting contest.
Brilliant. All right, Ashish, thank you. Fantastic. Thanks for coming on the show. And I wish you all the success with the nuclear mind. And let's continue to stay in touch. And we'll definitely have you on for other episodes in the future.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me, and I would love to come again and again on this show. And yeah, thank you so much, Pranay, as well for asking
Thanks,
questions
Ashish.
and sharing your views on the South African cricket. And yeah,
Thank
bye
you.
All
bye,
right.
guys.
Thank you. See you around, man. Right, Pranay. On to the from the tag of chokers and jokers to the more wider range of questions that I had for you. And I'm sure that our listeners would be very keen to listen to you. My first big question to you as the episode develops further is realistically speaking, um almost the table toppers, one day the table toppers, the other day number two. Is this going to be South Africa's big moment in 2023?
Dave, I would think so. And I'll tell you why. There are two reasons to it. One is that, as you would have known on Saturday night, there was something which was huge for South Africa. Huge is an
Spring,
understatement. The Springboks won
Springboks.
their fourth World Cup, and need I say, no one's won four World Cups in rugby. We were the first. I mean, South Africa was the first team to do it. So that was
Yeah.
huge. And there were people in South Africa partying at malls, at pubs, at stadiums. And the best part was that the ANC government said that there's no load shedding while the Rugby World Cup is going on because everyone
Love-
deserves to see the Rugby World Cup. Everyone. And that was huge. I mean, there was unity in every aspect in South Africa. And that should be reason enough for the cricketers also to realize that if they lift this trophy, what does it mean for a nation, for 60 million people who are hungry for inspiration in their life every day?
Right.
Every day. Need I say more what it means for South Africa to win the World Cup, Dave?
Yeah, but I would just want you to elaborate a bit for those listeners who might not be having perhaps the perspective that you and I already have, you more specifically. You keep saying, and I've heard this time and again, whether through WhatsApps or our phone conversations, that winning a cricket World Cup will actually be the best thing that South Africa can do for the nation.
Yeah.
So, what's the context to it? What's the social, cultural, political context? Can you please elaborate?
So, Dave, South Africa is one of the most corrupt economies in the world. The base is that because the thing is that the politicians aren't doing much for the country. The politicians are just filling in their coffers.
Led by Cyril Ramaphosa, Mr. Cyril Ramaphosa.
Not to take any names, Dave, but the
Right.
government per se is not doing what it should be doing.
No,
And
I was
because
just
of
curious.
because of that, there's massive unemployment. South Africa has a staggering rate of 40% unemployment out of the working class in South Africa per se. And when there's unemployment, there's a C word that comes, and that word is always rampant. And it's not chokers, but it's crime. And when there's crime, there has to be a lot of danger. So the thing is,
And
so
there's also
corruption leads to crime, leads corruption leads to unemployment, leads to crime, and leads to a very ineffective society to live in. And
right,
sport is just an ointment that makes people forget their atrocities that they're facing in their everyday life and just come together. So that is what it means for a population of 60 million odd people to win a
right,
World Cup, which gives them hope in
right,
their everyday life versus just a country who's winning the World Cup to feel good. So that's
right.
the socio-cultural context that I could sort of, in my humble wisdom, bring to the fore.
Right. Who have been now returning to the hardcore cricketing questions? Who have been the silent, rather underappreciated performers so far in this brilliant South African campaign in 2023 World Cup?
I think Keshav Maharaj, I think you would also strongly agree with me because he was bowling to the best of his ability in the last few games. And in the game against Pakistan, he held his own to get us over the line, along with Abresh Shamji and Lungi Ngidi, when the world around them decided that we should gift our wickets to Pakistan. So definitely Keshav Maharaj is one. And second, I think David Miller. He's doing his
Killer
bit.
Miller.
Yeah, he's doing his bit. He's not into the limelight like, say, a Markram or a Klassen is. But let's not forget that he gives those vital 20, 30 runs. He's just not got that spark right now to go and get the big runs, but he's cementing his legacy in a way that will come to the fore when it matters the most.
Right.
So
So
I
the
think Maharaj
destruction
and
is
Miller for me are the two silent warriors right now.
brilliant. So I was saying the destruction is probably just around the corner.
It
D
should
for
be. I
David
hope
Miller.
so.
Right. You went to the massacring game at the Wankhede, and you did not go alone. You carried your cold with it. You were cold shouldering the opponents of South Africa. No, I'm just in the lighter vein. How was that experience? How does it feel? And since the cricket will always be about fans, as much as it will always be about the players who give us fans these memories to savor. But how was it as a fan? Now, you ever previously been to a massive clash featuring South Africa in a World Cup contest anywhere on planet Earth?
So they've been for four South African clashes. The first one was in 2015 when South Africa scored about 434 odd against India at Wankhede itself. Faf du Plessis
Oh,
got a century. AB de Villiers was
what's it?
in song.
Years coming. Oh no! Oh, Zuka. Sorry.
AB de Villiers was in song. And I think Quinton de Kock also scored big. And India was
100,
like, sorry,
109.
109.
109.
Yeah. And India, under the astute leadership of Mahendra Singh Dhoni, who I actually am a fan of, was bundled out for some 220 odd. So that was my first experience of what South.
Collectively, Raina, Dhoni, Rohit, and Virat did not even make 70 runs together. I think readers can actually go and check this. If I'm wrong, then you can call Roshan Chase Dev Tyagi. Sorry, you can call me Roshan Chase. Yeah.
This was the last match, and the series was tied at 2 apiece when South Africa traveled to India, and we got a thrashing in the Test series in that tour, on that tour rather. So that was my first experience. Then I'd gone to see South Africa, England play in the T20 World Cup, where South Africa scored 230 odd, and England chased that down. That was depressing. I mean, I literally had tears that we've scored so much and still we're losing. But hats off to England there. Then I saw India thrash South Africa majorly at Pune in the recent Test series when after the 2019 World Cup, when Francois Duplessis just didn't know what's happening in his life and on the field. And the
Yep.
last episode was just a couple of days back when maybe we got a degree of revenge on England. So
Right. Right.
the atmosphere
Right.
was fantastic, Dave. But I mean, at the expense of just taking not exactly a bash, but just these fanboys, which I don't get, is that in a England South Africa match, why were people wearing Indian jerseys? That's number one. And second is that why were there Sachin chants? There could have been De Villiers chants, there could have been Morgan chants, but Sachin chants.
Pranay,
I mean, nothing against
you're
Sachin. He's a great man.
Yeah, of course. I keep hearing from him in my dreams. He keeps saying, "You're not the best fan I ever had." But I mean, this is my understanding of it. If you're sitting at the Wankhede, which is the home of exemplary cricketers, one of which happens to be Sachin Tendulkar, so maybe that's one of the reasons why you were hearing those chants. And I think in India, we are far more passionate and emotional than we've seen people in other countries. So probably that. But I think one of the most interesting chants that you didn't hear was probably about Ali Backer and other notable figures of South African cricket, which I wish the Indian cricket fan would get to read more about, so that they could understand that there have been stalwarts who have contributed so much to the Protea fire. Speaking of fire, South Africa have
Can
been
we
on fire
spend a minute on Ali Bakar just for so that the viewers know he was
for
instrumental
sure.
in getting South Africa out of apartheid and into the international cricket fold when South Africa went for its first World Cup in 1992. So it was all thanks to Ali Bakar. He was through his diplomatic relationships, he was able to mend a way in which South Africa could play the World Cup.
No, it's fantastic, fantastic,
We have
and
about 9.5 minutes left because we took some time with
enough for me to save my career. Trust me on that one. Um, as as the tournament wears on, could it safely be considered that the biggest threat for South Africa now, in this group stage, or the league stage, or the round robin format, call it what you may, is coming from India?
I would think so. I would really think so. And I'm hoping that India and South Africa don't play the semi-final. It'll be very interesting to see what happens on 5th November when the two powerhouses lock horns in Eden Gardens. But I am just hoping against hope also that somewhere the law of averages will catch up against India because they've practically been winning everything. And I hope that they do encounter South Africa in the finals and the law of averages like sort of catches up with them then, because then it'll be South
Wow.
Africa's World Cup
Let's
too.
open. Okay, let me just call research and analysis wing. Hello, hi, Mr. R and AW. No. So it's fine. It's fine. I've threatened him enough. You can't say
The jokes
you'll
about
get me
this,
arrested.
the only team that, as a diehard South African fan, that I'm fearing is India because they've been astute. Like yesterday, they got England just got all out for 129, chasing about 229 odd. And I seriously thought after the first innings it's England's game to win rather than India's to lose.
Yeah, but it actually turned out to be England's game to lose, something they've been quite proficient and consistent at. And completely out of context, I would just want to bring into perspective 10 seconds on what Mr. Nasir Hussain, who thinks he's one of the most informed people in the world, had to say when Pakistan were losing one game earlier. Pakistan doing Pakistan things. Mr. Hussain, what's England up to? This, by the way, we must respect, is a massively talented, a world champion team. Malan, Root, Butler, Wood, the great Adil Rashid, and I really mean the great Adil Rashid. So before you actually, call other teams some names, say that Pakistan doing Pakistan things, time to buy a mirror and then probably realize that Anupam Kher and you have something in common. Having said that, let's move forward, and I want you to explain our viewers the significance of Aiden Markram, the leader, and the significance of Aiden Markram, the batsman in this tournament.
I think his batting is so solid, which has complemented his leadership. I think so. Let me just put this into perspective. Aiden Markram is the only captain who's made South Africa win a World Cup. The Under 19 World Cup, I think in 2011, if I'm not mistaken, or 2013. I don't remember the
Yep.
year. And Kagiso Rabada was his pace spearhead. So he
Yeah, he
knows
was there.
what it takes to win a World Cup, Dave. And that's why I asked Ashish also that should Aiden Markram be the leader of the side and does Temba Bavuma merit selection? I'm a big Bavuma fan, but right now I don't think it's falling into place with him being the leader. Markram has it in him to make South Africa win the World Cup. And because even in the Pakistan game, there's one person who was standing tall when all the other wickets were falling around him, and that was Aiden Markram. Till he
Right.
decided to play a false shot and get out, I think, over point. So there's your answer. I think he is the
He,
guy.
he's Well said, Pranay. Love this answer, genuinely. He's always been, to me, the Chris Rock of Hollywood, of the South African team. So Chris Rock is, if you know where I'm coming from, he's always there. He's always charming. We know the threat that he can do with one mega Hollywood release. We know Markram, the threat that he can be. And if I'm wrong, he scored a 49 ball century
That's right.
earlier on.
Till Maxwell
And then,
beat that. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. So the man who actually set the perfect tone to rampaging bowlers was not Rohit. Well, despite that incredible century against Afghanistan, for which we must laud him, was not Virat, of course, was Aiden Markram. So Markram definitely has this massive role to play. Very quickly, the most important factor in the team, which would want to pull up his socks because there's so much more that he can deliver, but still hasn't. We've talked about Miller, but is there anyone else who you think can really rise up and make the team so potent, even more dangerous?
I think Gerard Kutsia. I just wrote an article on him thanks to you nudging me and you telling me the importance of that guy in the team. But I seriously feel that he can slightly control his economy rate and he can go for more wickets. And he has
Right.
batting potency also, which he's not realizing. So maybe if
Okay.
all that falls into place, South Africa can be a better unit. But there's always be the conundrum whether to play the two spinners or to play the
Right.
four fast bowlers. So that is a
Right. Uh,
caution that the captain
right.
has to take, needs to have.
Right. And Klaasen definitely emerging to be in a class of his own field. That mega century at Wankhede you had first-hand witness to.
Yeah. That was incredible. In fact, I was standing outside the stadium hoping that I can catch one. That was the
Hmm.
power of his hitting. It was just going
But
lambasting on the local trains outside.
right there,
Yeah.
and I remember one
One
gentleman
went into the
walking. He said,
Arabian Sea also, Dave. I had to harness
"Yeah."
my swimming skills then.
Oh, did it also go to Sion? You have one unsaid chapter over there. I'm glad it didn't.
It was
So,
fantastic. It was truly fantastic. But Dave, just a minute on Klassen. I am really keen to see that if South Africa is chasing, what does that guy bring to the table? Because against Pakistan, he just wilted under pressure. And I hope South Africa doesn't take the pressure because batting is batting. Whether you have a total in mind or whether a total is decided for you, just go out there and get it. That's all.
batting is batting and betting is betting, and I think you should refrain from the latter because it can spoil households. But if there is a team which can unite households, which can unite the fan in thrill and euphoria like few other teams can, that is South Africa, the Proteas. And Pranay, it was fantastic to talk to you, especially about a team for your heart beats. और चीजों के लिए तो होता ही नहीं है ना तुम्हारा, selfish तो हो ही नहीं तुम, कितने cute भी हो तुम. So it was fantastic, it was lovely, and I hope that the viewers and the listeners took some key insights from this game, because when it comes to South Africa, I'm more confident in two things: Jonty Rhodes' fielding, even as on date, and Pranay Rangra's assessments. And I hope that the Proteas can fire, but also that India actually get to win this World Cup, because I think I'm rooting for the team. It's also a highly deserving team. Okay, but do listen to him and keep my thoughts in mind. Until we catch you on another episode, Pranay, thank you, and wish you a
Thanks,
great
Dave.
week ahead. Yeah.
Always a pleasure to be on Correct Point. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Bye bye.